This is the second part of the quick and dirty history of the American Revolution, brought to you by warscholar.com. I will now cover the years 1777 and 1778. As you recall, at the end of December of 1776, Washington had decisively defeated the Hessians at Trenton. On January 3rd of 1777, Washington successfully attacked the British rearguard at Princeton, again in New Jersey. Washington then entered winter quarters in Morristown, New Jersey, and his troops harassed the British Army into moving back closer to New York City. Later in the year, the British launched a double-pronged invasion of the colonies from Canada. The first expedition, led by Burgoyne, recaptured Ticonderoga in July, but subsequent battles in the area weakened his forces. In August, the British in New York moved 15,000 troops to the north end of Chesapeake Bay in order to put pressure and take Philadelphia. Meanwhile, the second expedition, coming from Canada, laid siege to Fort Stanwix in New York, which is approximately in this area. That expedition resisted one August attack by the Americans, but then was driven back to Canada by a second relief expedition that showed up. Meanwhile, the first expedition that had taken Ticonderoga moved onwards to take Albany in New York. It was stopped once at Saratoga in September, again in this area, but Burgoyne hoped for reinforcements from the British troops in New York. But these troops had left for Philadelphia. Washington put 11,000 troops between the New York British troops and Philadelphia, but he was beaten in September at Brandywine. The British ended up taking Philadelphia easily in late September, and Washington retreated to the countryside. But, to the Patriots' credit, a second battle in October up in Saratoga resulted in the British surrender there. This was a major victory for the colonists. Washington, meanwhile, resisted small-scale attacks by the British, and in December encamped himself at Valley Forge, 20 miles outside of Philadelphia. In February 1778, because of the Saratoga victory by the colonists, France allied itself with them. Because of the danger of French naval power, the British left Philadelphia and returned to New York City. Washington followed the withdrawing British and forced an American victory in June at Monmouth in New Jersey. In July, the British reached New York City just as a French fleet arrived off the American coast. Washington moved his troops to White Plains, north of New York City. In July and November, Indians allied with the British successfully attacked Americans in Pennsylvania and New York. Also in that summer, Americans stemmed the Indian threat in the Ohio Valley area by taking British outposts. Despite these successes, in December of that year, a British expeditionary force took Savannah, Georgia. Those are the major events of the American Revolutionary War in the years 1777 and 1778.